Welcome to Mass Minutes with Melissa. This week we are in the 24th Sunday of Ordinary Time, and our Gospel reading takes place right after where we ended last week. So we're in Matthew chapter 18, verses 21 through 23. Remember, when I'm reading from a children's version, so the words won't be quite the same as what you hear in Mass this weekend, but it will be similar. Peter came to Jesus and asked him, "How many times must I forgive someone who does me wrong, Lord? Should it be as many as 7 times?" Jesus answered, "Not just 7 times, Peter, but as many as 70 times 7 times." Then Jesus told about a parable of the kingdom of heaven. There once was a king who had many servants. One servant owed the king a great deal of money, but he had nothing to pay him with. "I will sell you and your family as slaves and use the money to pay for your debts," said the king. The servant fell to his knees and begged for another chance. "Somehow I will repay you everything I owe," he pleaded. The king was kind and generous, and taking pity on the servant, canceled his debts and let him go. Later that day, the same servant met another man who owed him a small amount of money. When he could not pay what he owed, the servant had him thrown in jail. When news reached the king, he sent for the unforgiving servant. "Could you not forgive someone just as I forgave you?" he asked. Then he had the servant thrown into prison until he could pay back all that he owed the king. Jesus said, "This is how my heavenly Father will treat you, unless you forgive others with all your heart." This is the gospel of the Lord. So what does it mean to forgive? What are your thoughts? To forgive is making an active decision to stop being hurt and angry at someone. It doesn't mean we forget what happened to us, but it means that we're choosing to no longer be angry or hurt about it, and we're going to move on. We're going to have a change of heart. Now I know, easier said than done, right? I'm the oldest of 4 kids, so I have 2 little sisters and a little brother. And I guarantee you, it was really hard for me to forgive them when they did something mean to me when we were growing up, or ruined something that I loved because they were little and shouldn't have been playing with my things. So I can imagine forgiving them 7 times. That would still be a lot. But can you imagine forgiving them 70 times 7 times? Do you older kids know how many times that is? That's 490 times. Can you imagine forgiving somebody that many times? I sure can't. And I think what Jesus is trying to get Peter to understand is that he shouldn't be worried about keeping count, that he should just keep forgiving. And that's what Jesus wants us to know. Just keep forgiving. Just as God does with us. God expects us to treat others kindly, just like he does. And he forgives us all the time. He is kind and generous with his forgiveness, so we should be kind and generous with ours. God also knows that this is hard for us because we're not divine like God is. So he sent us a prayer to help us. And that prayer is the Lord's Prayer. In that prayer, you hear words about forgiveness. So my challenge for you this week is not really a challenge. It's more of something to do. And I want you to pray the Our Father with intent, to really think about those words about forgiving us as we forgive others. Because if God is going to forgive us how we forgive others, we better be doing a really good job of that. And then when we're done with that prayer, we better ask God for some patience to learn how to forgive and to pray that we gain that desire and that patience to forgive over and over and over again. God bless, boys and girls.